made some great accomplishments this year. And we just love honoring you and recognizing you for your accomplishments. So it's a treat for us and our community. And I welcome everyone here to our Board of Commissioner meeting, all who are here. We have a full house, like I said, all that are at home watching. And so with that, I will ask Ms. Jones to call the roll.
Commissioner Roberts,
Present.
Commissioner Hall,
Present.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Present.
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Present.
Mayor Anderson.
Present. Item number 3 is prayer and pledge. Dear Lord, I just thank you so much for our community and everyone in it. I just ask that you bless each one of them with health and prosperity and wisdom. As I ask for this board to have wisdom as we make decisions for this community and do what's best in your sight and for them. I know that there are a lot of people who are dealing with illness right now, and we just ask for you to bestow health on them and just to descend on our community and just give us favor, Lord. I ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 4 is mayor's comments. As I said before, welcome everyone tonight, and we are so privileged to be able to honor you, honor our youth and all your accomplishments tonight. We are excited to have such a full house, and we're going to get some pictures and have some fun, and we love that you get to see a small part of what we do up here, because I know that this isn't a part of the regular routine to come to Board of Commissioner meetings, but we want to do more than just vote on items for our community. We want to support accomplishments of our young people, and whether it be sports or academic or just anything. Sometimes we don't know everything that's going on. We have a young man here who's getting his Eagle Scout, and we just have so many accomplishments and so many bright young people in our community. We just want to honor each and every one each of you, and also just let us know if there's something that comes up or some achievement that's made, so that we can, bring it to our city, because we're a tight community, and we just want everyone to know about it. Also, I do want to say we have such a wonderful police force, and they're here tonight. So this is a business meeting. In our business meetings, we cannot tolerate disruptions. So if anyone gets out of line, or we ask someone to please, do something or adhere to something we say, then if that's not followed, we will have our officers here to escort you out of the building. So we just have to keep this a business meeting and keep it running in a smooth and orderly and respectful manner. So with that, item number 5 is approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Jones?
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Aye. Item number 5 passes 5-0. Item number 6 is citizens' comments. Limited to the first 5 citizens to sign up. You will be limited to 3 minutes. And when your 3 minutes are up, we will let you know, and we are excited to hear from you. If you will just state your name and your address, and if you live in the city or county, please.
There's three tonight, Mayor. The first is Ray Goodman.
Questions about the budget. I know that's what tonight's about. And we also have an Eagle Scout and want to congratulate the young man on that. Short. Just have some questions. I've heard some things about the budget and just have some questions about some things. How do you get the function codes that are on the packet that tells you what each line item is?
Ma'am, this is not a dialogue. It is, you can ask the questions, and we can write down anything that you've asked.
Okay.
And answer at the end, but it's not a dialogue, okay?
Okay. Then one question is there's $115,000 for an ECD position. Kind of like to know what that position is and how much revenue it brings in per month, because it looks like it's almost as much as the police chief is making, and I'm sure he's working around the clock. Also, these are budget questions. Will there be money in the budget for the consultant we use for the building codes, Brian Wright, during the process of updating our building codes? Okay, another question is, we are very pro-police, firemen, first responders. I was a healthcare worker myself, and there's $750,000 in the budget for a firing range, and we're very concerned of it being next to a nature preserve. Is the money allotted to buy property somewhere else? Because the policemen need to make a lot of noise. They need to train, they need to make noise. The nature preserve needs quiet. And just want to know if there's anything in the budget to where we can reposition this property to where maybe it's next to an interstate where there's already a lot of noise, so that we're not scaring the birds and the wildlife, because NES uses that as a tactic to scare their birds off of their lines. They use loud blast. So if you put it next to a nature preserve, you're just going to run our nature out of our park. We'd really love to have bald eagles and everything that's out here come our way, and we're very concerned about that. Also in the budget, I walked the park this week, and there is a huge retaining wall with red mud at the top. And there's got to be runoff coming into the nature preserve. I'm not sure what that is. It's over to the right at the top at the dome loop. Not even sure what that property is or why it has a huge retaining wall. But is there money in the budget to plant trees with roots to keep runoff from happening off that wall into the nature preserve so it doesn't destroy our water source for our animals? Okay.
I'm sorry, that's the end of the 3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. We do have a town hall meeting that will happen at the end of the month if you'd like to.
Okay.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next is Aaron DeBose.
Hello. Okay, I'm with her on the old business on the budget, the $750,000 for the gun range. I appreciate the new members and the questions that y'all asked last time. I really do. And I just want to say, back when this gun range was voted down in 06-07, it was voted down because it had no right to be on that property because it was protected by the Bowie deed restrictions. History cannot rewrite itself. It is still it's still protected even though you left it out of the land trust. Stuart Johnson said that it was left out on the land trust on purpose, that that's what he wanted. And I just hope that the people see that this is something that, like I said, history can't rewrite itself. There's a want there, but it shouldn't be at that location. It really shouldn't be. In regards to the height ordinance, also I want to reiterate that that's just a loophole for the tower. because that was voted down previously. And I really hope that there is a major town discussion in regards to this. We live out there. My driveway's right next to that drive. In 06, 07, when the police were shooting out there because of an issue at the Dixon gun range, the noise was horrific. It took my mother to go get signatures from everybody in town who opposed it. And like I said, it was voted down because the city has no right to put a gun range on that property. History does not rewrite itself. And I really hope that the new members look at this very carefully and look at the history, because we live out there. It's our peace of mind. You know, my son's fifth generation. I know you follow Facebook and you see the comments back and forth. I understand where it would really help our police, but it shouldn't be at this location. It was not transparent. We were notified in the mail with certified letters for a variance for 15 feet, but we weren't in 2021 when y'all voted for it that it was passed. It's a done deal. My mom was told the same thing in 06, 07. It's not going to be a done deal. I really want you to use your conscience and look at this and look how things played out, and the people who were on the board at the time and the people who were on the committee who did the land trust, and how their paths crossed after that. And I think that you'll really be enlightened. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last mayor is Lee Strawlin.
Hello, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Honorable Commissioners, and fellow citizens of Fairview. My name is Leo Strawn. I am a Life Scout with Troop 585 out of Burns, Tennessee. I am currently working on my Eagle Scout project. My project consists of enhancing the pre-existing concrete letters on the school grounds at Fairview High School. This project aims to improve the visual appeal of the school and create a more aesthetically pleasing atmosphere for students, staff, and visitors. The project will focus on the surrounding area and pre-existing concrete letters, using wood and mulch to create a complementary design that highlights and enhances the letters. This will not only beautify the school grounds, but also demonstrate the school's commitment to maintain an attractive and welcoming environment. My objectives for this project are to enhance the appeal of the pre-existing concrete letters, to provide a lasting and meaningful contribution to the school community, and develop leadership, planning, and organizational skills required for my Eagle Scout. Now, the benefits for the school will be the aesthetic enhancement. The project will beautify the area around the pre-existing letters, creating a more cohesive and attractive look. School pride. The enhanced letters will serve as a focal point for the school spirit and pride. And the educational value. The project will provide a hands-on learning experience for students interested in design, woodworking, and project management. I'm excited to see the opportunity and to contribute to my school community through this Eagle Scout project. I look forward to discussing this proposal further and receiving your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 7, public announcements, awards, and recognition. Item A is our city events.
Good evening, Mayor, Board. Just want to recap on last year's business license that we had for the entire city. We had a total of 457 businesses that are currently active within the city limits. That includes actual storefront businesses along with home businesses as well, and we issued 51 business license last year as well. And just a reminder that we have a free message alerting system. It's called Nixle. You can text FV alerts to 888-777. Again, that's FV alerts to 888-777. And we currently have 3,119 people subscribed for text, 1,760 subscribed for email, and 267 subscribed for voice. We are currently accepting sponsorship applications for our July 3rd event. Today, we actually just secured our main sponsor, and we also secured free advertisement by a radio station out of Nashville, and they will be promoting the city as a whole, not just July 3rd event, 8 weeks prior to the event. And they'll have on-air interviews and do all types of social media posts to promote the city as well. So that's going to be a huge asset at zero cost to the city. That's all I have tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Do I have any questions from the board? Thank you. All right, to the exciting part of our night. Item 7B is recognition of the Fairview Middle School wrestling team. I would like for the coaches of the wrestling team to come up, and I think Commissioner Buffalini has some words to say as well. The way we'll do this is I'd like for you to introduce your team. If there's any special awards that individuals have won, we'd like to hear about that. Also about your state championship and, just everything that went on through the season. And also, we will also, after you speak about this, we're going to get the team up and do a picture with me and the commissioners. Yes.
Okay, so thank you guys for having us. We appreciate this. This is cool. I'm really proud of the team this year. They work really hard. All right. One of the things about our sport is we're not out there a lot. You don't see us a lot because we don't do everything in the middle school. We do everything in the high school. So a lot of times the middle school doesn't get to see what we do. They don't see our practices. They don't see the amount of time, sweat, tears, blood, literally all of it. It all happens over there, and they work really hard. And so I told these guys at the beginning of the year, I thought maybe we had a chance to go to state based on kind of where we ended up with our draws and everything. I just thought we had a good chance at it. And when we got to state, I didn't really know what to expect. I don't think any of us did. And we went there, and I just told the kids, I said, why not us? Well, why can't we do it? There's 4 teams here. Why can't we be the one to do it? And they showed up. I mean, it was awesome. I will say the involvement we had from parents this year was unbelievable. It's probably the best year I've ever had with parent involvement, so thank you guys for that. That makes life a lot easier for Coach Bennett and I to just coach, okay? When you guys handle that stuff, it makes it to where we just get to do our job, which is try to help develop these kids as students and athletes and all that good stuff. So when we went to states, we were the loudest crowd. We probably had the most people there. The school came through big. They got us a bus. It was awesome. The kids were excited. We had a lot of momentum, and we went in, and to be blunt, we smashed people. I mean, it was awesome. When you go in and you beat the team in the finals by over 30 points in a wrestling match, that's a pretty big deal, okay? We had won the match before it was halfway over, okay? We were really loud, all right? And it was awesome. We were cheering, we're yelling. I couldn't talk for 2 days. Coach Bennett doesn't talk anyways, but if he did, he wouldn't be able to talk either, okay? So it was fun. We finished the season 16-0. We won everything that we did this year, which it's an attest to just the entire team of what we build. So I've got 15 starters on a team, but I've got 29 kids on that team. And every kid on that team understands that they're just important as the other kid, all right? And my favorite thing about wrestling is, unlike other sports, you don't have to be the biggest, you don't have to be the fastest, you have to work hard. And so I have guys who are 80 pounds who are just as important as guys who are 250 pounds. And same thing, my 250s are just as important as my 80-pounders. So it was a real team effort this year, and I'm really proud of them. All 29 of them have worked really hard. They've all gotten better. And my hope, and I've got a sneaking suspicion, I hope it's the last time you see us, okay? And I think with the group we have coming and the group I have coming back, I'm hoping that we'll be in here again, okay? So do you want us to announce everybody on
Just,
there, or how do you want us to do that?
Just, if you would just announce your team and have
Okay.
them come up front.
Okay.
So one at a time, and then after you do that, then we'll all gather behind and get a
Okay.
picture.
All right, guys, so I want you, if
Well,
you're here,
and
just go ahead and
also,
come
I
up
think,
front.
Do you want to speak
me just say
now?
something real
Okay, so let Commissioner Buffalini
Okay.
say what he wants to say, and then we'll call the
Okay.
team up.
Okay, coaches, athletes, you guys know that school sports are dear to my heart. A lot of people can attest to that as well. I just want to let everyone know that not only did they just win states, but it's the first time in history for the state of Tennessee that any middle school has won a state competition on their level. So kudos to them for that. So I was also asked by athletic director Joe Brown, just to let everyone know, I have to read something for him. Middle school wrestlers from Fairview and Spring Station are making history at First Tennessee Middle School Athletic Association. Wrestling state champions, TMSAA, held its first ever state competition this year, and Fairview has placed first in Class A dual wrestling state championship, defeating East Nashville team 60-29. The entire school community is super proud, and as you can see, we're here, and we're going to let the entire city know about it as well. And we're not going to hide it, right? We are not going to hide it. We're going to put it out there. So I just want to congratulate both our coaches for an outstanding season. 16-0 is just unprecedented, especially in that sport. So thank you very much to coaches, to the parents who put up with all of it. Awesome. And I know they had a great bus ride back. I was there to witness it. I took that video that everyone saw on Facebook, and just to be part of that it's amazing. So congratulations once again. And Coach, if you can announce all your athletes, we'd appreciate that. Thank you.
One other thing I do want to say too, just to give you a couple accolades too. We were MCAC champions this year too, which means we won our conference title as well, which is the actual individual tournament where they keep a team score. We actually won that as well. And I believe we had 7 champions, is that right? I believe we had 7 champions out of 15 weight classes. And I had several starters who weren't able to go because they did it on a Sunday in December near Christmas. So really, really great year this year. One thing you'll notice here when you get to the football too, you're going to see some familiar faces. It's not a coincidence. Okay, Coach King, I understand that too. Okay, it is not a coincidence that some of these kids are doing both these sports and being extremely successful. I hope to continue that relationship where these kids will do both. I believe firmly in these kids doing multiple things, cross-training, because it's good for your body, it's good for your brain, it's good for your heart, it's good for your soul, and they're developing as more than just just an athlete too. You're developing as a student, you're learning different things too. So we're appreciative of the football team and what they've done too, because they send a lot of kids our way every year. And I can get kids every year, they're football players that come in and it could be their first year and they may just happen to go undefeated. So not a coincidence there on that. So I appreciate that too, Coach King. So our team, guys, go ahead and just come on up front when I call your name. I'm going to call everybody out, and if you're here, just come on up front, okay? So I've got Catherine Coble. Declan McGuire. Keaton Duff. Zurich. Colton Fox. Camden Moore. Jackson Lemmings. Nathan Stevens. Gavin Lawrence, David Pope, Roman Neal, Elijah Hall, Seth Matson, Riley Moore, Lucian Munier, May Deegan, Emmett Sutton, Terry Green, Scarlett Berwick, Hank Murray, Lorelei Murray, Lucas Schrader, Kason Penning, Julius Carter, Landon Pitts, Grayson Holder, Reese Swiggett, Conway Greenswait, and my assistant coach, who's extremely important to me and extremely important to this team, Coach Riley Bennett.
Okay, if we could, do you think the podium's going to be in the way? I was going to say we could, move it back. If if y'all could kind of bunch together, so we can get a good picture, just, taller in the back, that would be great. And we'll all come together and stand behind. Richard, I'm going to get you to get one with this one as well. Don't hide behind anybody or we won't be able to see you.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations. You know what? I was going to have them hold this. Let us. Well, never mind. Yeah. This is the one for the whole for the middle school, and then the rest of them are. Let me know which ones you don't have. Okay. All right, let's give that wrestling team another round of applause. Good job. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, item 7C is recognition of the Fairview Middle School football team. So we're going to do the same thing. Coaches or coach, come up and just let us know about all the wonderful accomplishments this year. Undefeated, I understand.
I'm not sure how I'm supposed to follow wrestling, though. Y'all come up here. This is not about me, it's about you. First of all, I want to thank the Board of Commissioners, Mayor Anderson, Mr. McDonald, Mr. Hall, Ms. Roberts, Mr. Buffalini for this honor. And a lot of our guys aren't here. We have 60 kids. They're playing basketball, they're doing other sports, but these guys right here, hardworking. We went 9-0, won the Tri-County Championship. Second time in school history, undefeated team. Out of those 60 kids, we had 8 that were recognized for all conference. We really should have more, but that's all they allow. And like Coach McDonald, or Coach Mitchell said, excuse me, Coach Mitchell said that he hoped to be back here again. And with the group I've got coming back, that's very possible. I want to make this a yearly thing. And I just want you guys to know that we appreciate the recognition for our program and everything you guys do for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to call the names out individually so we can? Do you want me to do that? Yes.
I didn't want to do that since they all were here, but I can do that.
I know, man. Well,
All right. Christopher Putnam. Christopher Putman, go. Cooper Garrett. Archer Oliphant. Grayson Holder. Kitchell. Braxton Halliburton. Emmett Sutton. Austin Stinson. Nathan Stevens. Seth Matson. Oakley Putman. Pate Tuttle. Parker Betts. Kaysen Penning. All right, Max Priester. Sorry about that. Am I missing anyone? Okay, is that it? I thought I saw Miles. That's what I was asking. All right, and Coach Stinson and Coach Putman.
guys, if y'all in the front can hold this here. Okay, hey, guys. Hold it where everybody can see.
And Coach Sutton.
Don't put it in front of your face. Can y'all get everybody, or do we need to have them scrunch in more? Guys, don't move. Okay, coaches, move in a little bit behind the guys. Y'all scrunch in real tight. Yeah, make sure everybody can see the cameras. All right, congratulations.
Good job, Coach. I've sensed that. Hey, you only had it happen to one, though. That was pretty impressive.
Okay, as we know, all of you would love to stay for the next 2 hours and listen to all the business of the city. I know that you probably have to get home so that you can get to bed and go to school tomorrow. No snow, boo. Anyway, so again, congratulations to everyone, and we're gonna wait about 5 minutes and let everybody that wants to leave right now, y'all can go ahead and go, and we appreciate you being here. I'm sorry, what? We have a couple minutes, right? Yeah, yeah.
Congratulations, Coach. Yeah, I know. Can we go back and do this again? How many of them have been going out for birthday parties? And it's another world. Did you see that video of the guy getting snapped? Mason posted it, and then Zachary reposted it. They're saying it again.
All right, item number 8, staff comments and monthly reports. A, community services report. And Mr. Darty, are you gonna?
Mayor Board, I just want to tell you, city planner is under the weather, and I've got some notes for some other items, but I did not get
Okay.
anything on this report, but we can either get it emailed or put it on next agenda.
Thank you. And Mr. Greer, Get well, because I know you're watching. Get well soon. Item 8B is the Police Department report. We have your whole staff here, so they
Not
can-
quite all of them. Good afternoon. We're going to do the yearly report. December will be included there, and then kind of a recap for the year. If you'll see the first slide, there's training hours per month for 2024. We accomplished 6,134 training hours. Now, that is hours that are in the classroom, on online training, some practical exercises. What that doesn't include is our field training officer program. When we get a new officer in, that's upwards of 14 weeks. That would add thousands of hours to that, but we don't really equate that as per hours. That's minimum of those 14 weeks, but that is a proficiency thing, and we often extend that till we ensure the proficiency. So for us, that is more proficiency than is just calculating hours. So that's what, when you see those officers out there, often in two-man units, it's a veteran officer with a training officer, with a trainee, and those account for a lot of hours that we don't include in our normal training. The next slide, please. This is overtime for 2024. You can see through the months, there was zero overtime for December. Now, overtime accounts for call-outs, special events. A shift extends due to a call, a hot call that carries them over. Court, grand jury, court here, court over in Williamson County in circuit court. And what that was 318.86 hours for the year. And if you'll see to the right there, the amount of officers I have, the equivalent shifts, that equates to 7,800 shifts at Fairview Police Department. And we only had 318 hours of overtime. I have to give credit to my staff. They do a very good job of managing their manpower so that those hours aren't more significant than that. They did a really good job of managing their resource there. Next slide. Arrests for the year, total arrests is 814 for the year, 72 in the month of December there. And you see that stays pretty consistent throughout the months. Next slide. Citations for the year, well, for December was 70. For the year, there is 1,347 citations. Now, something you will experience as a commissioner, if you haven't yet, is people will complain about getting a speeding ticket. It happens often, but you'll see as we move forward, the effort behind that is to reduce accidents, to keep your roads safe, to try to monitor that. We get tons of calls from people, Horn Tavern, all these roads wanting us to come enforce it. But yet when someone gets a traffic citation, they're not happy about that. But we are trying to enforce that, but we often get dubbed as a ticket mill or a speed trap or something like that. Well, there's 5,825 traffic stops for the year, and we wrote 1,347 tickets. That's only 23% in citation. What that means is 75% of the time, three-quarters of the amount of time, we're having a conversation with those people, asking them to curb the behavior, slow their car down, stop using their cell phone or things like that when we move them on their way. So, and we often get, well, every time we write some tickets, you're trying to buy new patrol cars, I promise you 1,347 tickets would never amass to the amount of money to buy patrol cars. So as you see there, we are making the effort to stop the behavior, and rarely does it in a citation. Next slide. And I talked about citations. It's an effort out there to keep traffic down and reduce accidents. We had a pretty good month as far as in comparison there. The month of December at 14, 276 for the year. We were fortunate that we did not, Fairview PD did not report or work a fatality for the year. I know last month the fire department reported they worked a death. That was on the interstate, and THP worked that. So that's why we didn't report that. But we're fortunate that on the streets of Fairview, we've not seen that this year, and we hope to keep that down. Next slide. This is call activity for the year. December was 902. That's 11,721 calls that we worked for the year. A pretty significant call volume, accompanied with a very large training hour. So we're pretty busy. Next slide. And this will show you, since I became chief here in 2017, the rise in the call volume. Of course, 2021 was a COVID years. It reduced a lot of the way we policed for a while, but we're back up now where we're consistently around 12,000, right there around the 12,000 calls a year mark. It's pretty busy. Criminal investigations for the year. The CID unit was assigned 159 cases. 138 of those cases that were signed last year were cleared. That's an 86.79 clear rate. If you'll notice to the right, it's kind of a national average chart in 2023, and those are for index crimes, which are your serious crimes. The more serious the crime, murder and things like that are often resolved more. But if you'll notice down near the bottom where property crimes are 13.9%, a bulk of what my criminal investigation division gets is property crimes. So they are clearing a lot of calls, a lot of cases. So they're doing good work. We want to acknowledge that. Next slide. I spoke in the training session earlier about the LISO program. Kind of touched on that, which is demilitarized equipment that the federal government gets rid of. We've been very active in that. We started that in 2017-2018 year. Again, the mayor spoke that you sit on that equipment for a year, then you can start selling it. You'll see our sales start in 2019. And we had a little pullback there in 22 and 23 with our sites that we generally pick from that are available for us to go to, Fort Campbell, Fort Knox, things that are easily drivable. Those sites had dried up for a while. So there's not a lot of things we would go to California sites for. So we had a little dip in that. Pick back up there for the 24 year. In total, as of today, is $305,487 in revenue we've generated off that. And that was approximately 8 patrol cars. When we started, we had no plan for how we were going to fleet manage and replace patrol cars. So it's been a very effective program. We also retain numerous pieces of equipment for the city utilizes. The stage that you've seen at several events, portable light station, forklifts, trailers, command posts, trucks, tons of equipment that the city does not have to go out and buy that we were able to provide for the city at very low cost, which is really my manpower of the guys going and picking it up and bringing it back. Next slide. Nothing this month to report in the public relations because last month we did report on the Shop of the Cop because it was kind of fresh on the minds. It was really good. Additionally, we'd like to welcome Noah Nicholson to Fairview PD as our newest hire. Noah comes from Centerville, Tennessee. He began his career there as an officer, went to Dixon County Sheriff's Office for some time, and he come to us. He's a certified officer, very promising, and we are glad to have him on board. Any questions?
I just want to thank you for thinking outside the box when we were, a few years back when we were in a situation where, not like now, where we're in good financial shape and we have had times where it's been very lean. And I've got to say that this department thought outside the box. They got involved in the LISO program. If you don't know what that is, look into it because what our officers have done to save this community money through that program where they can fund things with the efforts that they put in finding items that are surplus that we can acquire and then eventually after a year either sell or use for our community in the police department where they don't have to purchase them or they can sell them and take the money and buy things that normally would have to come out of our budget. I mean, they're to be commended for that. There's not a lot of communities, I've looked into this, that, take part in that program. I don't know why, but ours is one. And they have, like he showed you the numbers, this is money that they save our community. So our police officer, our police department and our officers, I can't say enough about how they help our community. And I do want to say one other thing. You were saying about the traffic citations. I hear just the opposite. I hear people call and want more stops, we have speeders and we'd like, more traffic stops. So I hear more of the other side where they'd rather have people stopped and not
We understand. We
people who are
do
stopped.
address the problems. We're attempting to do that with some balance of citations and then often just a conversation and try to redirect that behavior.
And our community, I own a small business here. I see people all the time. And every person that comes in that speaks about our police department and our officers, we have a lot here tonight. And I just want y'all to know, they tell me how courteous you are, how you give them instruction on how to do things differently. I've not heard in the 2 years that I've been mayor, I've not heard anyone say that they have been treated badly or disrespectfully. So I really commend each of you for how hard you work to make sure, yes,
Mayor, I would, I need to state this, thank you for the praise, but my team they kill it. They're wonderful through the ranks, they do a good job, and they work hard, and they really want to do a good job for Fairview. So it really, the credit goes to them. They do a good
And
job.
it shows, and it does go to them. That's what I'm saying right now to all of you. It does go to them, and it shows because what we hear is, more praise than anything. So
Thank you.
I just appreciate it.
Any questions?
Anybody else from the board like to,
I would like to add something.
okay.
The 23%, to me, it's surprisingly shocking number. I mean, in a good way. I think one, it shows your initiative to change the kind of the narrative around law enforcement, right? That in this community, a smaller community, you have the luxury of being more involved in the community. And I think having those stops and allowing individuals to recognize that they've done something wrong, but also drive away from that situation without this bitterness in their mind of this awful experience. And to that point, I've had multiple citizens on more than one occasion, some of them close friends, some of them just random people who've had run-ins with you all and have nothing but nice things to say about how just professional you are and not aggressive, and the officers don't come across as, I'm above you and you're going to listen to me. It's just encouraging. And I don't say that just to be filler to pat you on the back. It's truthful interactions I've had with citizens that I think are rare, especially in today's day and age. So I just wanted to commend you on that. And then part two is that 23% pretty standard, or are you unique in that?
I mean, there are departments that are very aggressive in the citations for a revenue purpose, and we don't. It's literally whatever percentage that is. I don't even know what percentage it is. It goes to the court. We receive nothing from that, not interested in that. We're a tax-based driven budget for us, and for us it's serving and getting out there working, and whatever that equates to after the fact in the courts, really of no concern of ours.
Good.
As far, from a revenue standpoint. I know that there are some that are very aggressive. That there are departments that have unwritten, unspoken quotas. We don't think that it should exist. We don't believe in that. The officers have that discretion while they're out there on those low-level offenses to decide if it's, should cite or, often that is from when they have a repeat offender. They deal with them a lot and they'll eventually write that citation. Sure. But often it's, like I said, it's a conversation and have a nice day, and we move on from that.
Yeah, I think that's refreshing for myself to hear as well as citizens. I think it's to know that you guys are out there to truly serve the community. You're not out there, hey, we've got to write 100 tickets this month or whatever. You're doing your job, doing it well, and I think that should be recognized. So,
thank you.
Good job.
Chief, is there, if there was anything that you could say that we could do to support your group?
I will say this,
say?
in the community watching, and my officers can probably, support this. The community here, they're very kind to us. They're very supportive. You always, in places, have a bad element of criminal activity where you deal with that a lot. But we also engage the public as a whole, and we come in contact with all kinds of people. And they're very supportive. They're kind to us, and we feel like we have a great relationship with the public. Of course, there's always some people that do not like police, will never like police, and we understand that, but we're still going to serve them in the same manner we would somebody singing our praise.
Mayor?
Yes.
Chief, on your vehicles, do all of your vehicles have a register? So if a car is passing you, it reads their plates and it'll alert the police
Yes.
officer prior
Yes,
to
sir.
any pullover?
Yes, sir. When we, several years ago, we subscribed to the Flock license plate reader service. When we changed to the Axon car camera and body cameras, they offered the Flock camera system in that, and that does read license plates, and it will alert. People think that there's some idea behind that it's magically going to solve crimes. But really what it is say if in Colombia there was a crime and they entered that tag into the National Crime Database, it said, hey, we were looking for that, there's a warrant attached to this. If it sees that and it's entered, then it will notify us. We often get stolen cars or things at Walmart, or the readers have read that and notified us. There is things you can add into it, like the sexual offender registry. We add all of those tags into our database so that if those are at schools or daycares or parks and they're not supposed to be, and my officers drive by, it will alert my officers that someone on the sexual offender list is in an area that they're not supposed to be in. So yes, we do have that. It?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8C is our fire department report. Chief Hughes.
Mayor, Commissioners, first report is for December, and then we have a recap for the year. I'll kind of get through December pretty quick. For the month of December, we had 133 calls for service, emergency calls. That was up just a little bit. We had 24 overlapping incidents. Again, that's where one crew is on a call and can't clear it before another call comes out. We had one incident where a fire was extinguished. It was a dumpster fire within the city. We had 6 mutual or automatic aid responses, and that's outside of outside of the city limits. Our average response time was up a little bit from the previous month, and our average time on scene was down a little bit. Again, to report emergency, please call 911, not the station. Call breakdown, this should look similar to every month, where our most calls are rescue and medical based. Heat map, I know you guys love it, but it still looks the same as it usually does. This is just one of the photos from one of the accidents we worked during December. Fire Marshal had 8 fire and life safety inspections and follow-ups. Again, he has not had to issue any citations. Most business owners correct the issue before he has to come back. He did 9 plan reviews, 11 fire pre-plans. He attended the Fire Inspectors Conference in Murfreesboro. If any of the city residents need smoke detectors in their house, please call the station. It will give you a prompt for the fire marshal. He can schedule that. We'll come out and install those for you. We're still part of the grant from the state of Tennessee to install smoke detectors. December training, 262 hours. December is usually pretty low for us. We don't have a lot scheduled in December, and that's just so that we can make up training for anybody that was off shift when we had some training that needed to be done, and we do a lot of makeups. I know Tom talked about our training tower, the picture from inside the training tower with Lieutenant Walker. That is Spring Hills Training Division, and their assistant chief came down to look at our tower. They are actually purchasing one just like it. Funny thing, after we designed this tower, the company put it on their website, and as one of their offerings, it's called the Fairview. It honestly is called the Fairview on their website. So they came down, they spent several hours talking to us about it, and they've got one that they're fixing to put up just like it. December happenings, some of the guys put up some lights at the station. We had Shop with the Cop breakfast with Santa, and then we welcomed to the city Medic 19 to our quarters. It's the second Williamson County ambulance that will be stationed here in Fairview. It is a 12-hour truck, so now our city will be served by a 24-hour truck and a 12-hour truck until call volume increases enough to make that a second 24-hour truck for our area. This is just the recap, the comparison between 23 and 24. A lot of things look the same. We did take over a new records management system, so that's why the graphs look a bit different from our old graphs, but there's the summary. Our call volume was up quite a bit. We had fires were down a little bit for the year. Rescue and emergency services calls were up. Overlapping calls were way up. Mutual aids given were up, and response time. Our response time was up a little bit, but we had some calls that we were on the interstate. We did work 2 fatalities on the interstate last year. Our crews were there for, one of them we were there for about 6 hours. Another one was We're there well over 4, but that was just, we had to wait to remove the body for the ME to come out of Nashville before we could remove it from the entrapment. Next slide. Heat map. I know they look a little bit different. The 2023 looks much worse than the 2024, but since we took over a new records management system halfway through the year of 2024, that's why it's got an asterisk by it. That's only 6 months of calls on the right side. These are just some of the projects and achievements we had in 2024. We added to our tower. We had some 2 members complete their probation. We did get design done for the new Station 32 that's out at Northwest Highway. We're just waiting on a road to get built to get that started. And then we had an area that our members were looking for somewhere where they could work out and kind of keep their workouts going that they normally do off shift, but while they're on shift, since we're there for 2 days, and we revamped that room and put in some workout area with some a few pieces of weights and some machines. And this we had 5,908 hours of training for the year. This is all fire-based training, so we used our tower a lot. We've had a couple of we've not created any live fire scenarios for anyone outside of our department yet. We've had some other municipalities come over and use our tower to see what it was like, but they ran just some basic drills, rescue drills and things like that, and door forces, but no live fire training outside of our personnel. These are just the certifications and achievements from some of our members this year. Dana Driscoll got a rope awareness and rope operations fire instructor. John Sheets, rope awareness aerial apparatus operator. Elijah Thomas, rope awareness operations. Jake Duffield, rope awareness. Tate Hayes, fire instructor 1. Adam Wynn, fire instructor 1. Jesse Woodard, fire officer 3. Sean Sullivan and I both achieved our fire officer 4 this year. This is just a graph on the ISO protection class. We are an ISO 3. There are 62 ISO 3s in the state of Tennessee. That is out of almost 3,900 fire departments in the state of Tennessee. So we're in the top end of how our fire department performs during an ISO test. In the country, there's 3,800, almost 3,900 ISO class 3s. And that's out of 31,000 fire departments in the country. Any questions?
Who designed the training tower?
Myself and Jake Warren, our training officer, we spent a good part of the year looking at things from other departments. We knew it's something that Fairview was not going to build 3 or 4 years down the road again, just because we didn't have what we needed. So we took a lot of time. We built a lot of training scenarios, a lot of props into it. And when we finally got the chance to build it, we knew that this was probably the tower we were going to have for the next 15 or 20 years. So we wanted to get our best bang for our buck out of it.
There's no better praise than being copied. And with the other communities seeing our training tower and seeing how beneficial it is and what it brings to our community, and they're copying it for their own communities, that's exciting. I had, when we had the commissioner camp and we got to experience the training tower, and my favorite part was getting to use the jaws of life and cut a car, cut the door frame in two. That was a lot of fun, and maybe we can do that again so the rest of our new members of the board can experience that. But that was exciting to me, and get to see how that training tower works, and and now all these other communities are wanting something similar to what y'all have done. So
yes, ma'am.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, and we will have another training commissioner camp. We don't want to put you guys out here when it's 20 degrees.
Well, actually, it probably would feel good since the training tower's hot.
Yeah, but training officer Warren, he's also the city safety officer. He's really strict about no one but trained firefighters in live fire.
right,
I
well,
have a
good
question.
stuff. Yes, Commissioner Hall.
Scott, if you would explain on some of your duties a while ago was plan reviews.
Yes, sir.
That comes into the codes when we have an apartment complex or a business complex. Just kind of explain to them what y'all look at in those plan reviews.
Yes, sir. Sean Sullivan and I both review all development plans that come into the city, whether it's residential or commercial. We review that a little bit different than the planning commission or the planning department does. We look at it from International Fire Code standard. So I know there's been some questions when we've approved something and the street was not to city street standards. Well, in the fire code, all is required from the fire side is a 20-foot section to pass unobstructed. So, and I know our city street standards exceed that, but so sometimes when we approve something, it doesn't mean it's a great plan, we love it or anything, but we only review it from an international fire code standard.
I just wanted that explained, if you don't mind. I remember how y'all used to come in and y'all have to do sign off on it, and that's also submitted to the planning commission and to the board of commissioners also.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
The staff review meetings were re-implemented a couple years ago. That was something I saw beneficial. And when you come in, that's part of what you do is you look over those plans with all of the others so that can be handled. Then we did have a planning commission meeting on Tuesday night, and I think one of the commissioners asked that question while we were reviewing some plans, and so that's.
I did see that.
Yeah.
It was on a development plan, so all developments, if they're over 30 houses, they have to have 2 ingress egresses. You can't do one unless they're all sprinkled. They have to sprinkle every home in there. If not, but yeah, you have to have 2 ingress egress points.
But we were able to answer that question because when we have an in-person staff review meeting of these projects that come in, we have public safety and fire and all the different departments there so that everyone can look at it and you give your input on the front end to be able to handle those situations before it moves forward. So I think that's a good plan.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8D is finance report. Mr. Daugherty.
Thank you, Mayor. And board of what you have is 3 reports. The first is a statement of expenditures for the Board of Commissioners. The next report is a summary financial statement with a detailed revenue and a summary expenditure report. And then the last page is the available funds for December of 31, the ending account balances for the month. I'm always available for questions at the office, or if you feel like you want to reach out to Ben, we're always available. Thank you.
Any questions of Mr. Daugherty from the board? Item 8E is city manager report.
Thank you. Yes, I've got a couple of announcements. Just want to remind everyone, City Hall will be closed on Monday, the 20th for Martin Luther King Day. Also want to remind everyone, on the last Thursday of the month, we'll have, the 30th, we'll have a town hall meeting. I want to give a shout out to the Public Works team for their great work during the snow event. I also wanted to let everybody know that the city has plenty of salt stocked up. Also want to give a shout out to Richard Ross for his reporting of the snow event and also getting the word out on posts on Facebook and Nixle. Felt like the event went very smooth, and I give them a lot of credit. I also am thankful for a little bit of better temperatures, but that's all for my city manager report tonight.
Any questions from the board? Thank you. Item 9, consent agenda. A, minutes from January 2nd, 2025 Board of Commissioner regular meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Jones?
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson.
Aye. Item 9 passes 5-0. Item 10, old business. A, second and final reading, ordinance 2024-18, an ordinance for an amendment to the City of Fairview, Tennessee budget and, for fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. City Manager, Mr. Darty.
Thank you, Mayor, Board. I have highlighted the changes in blue from the previous meeting, 2 meetings ago. And I have listened to the meeting and tried to prepare for the new questions. So, but I feel like this budget meets the needs of the city going forward for the rest of this fiscal year, and entertain any explanations or questions. I did not get any questions between last meeting and this meeting. So if there are any additional, I'll do my best to provide an answer. Thank you.
Before we entertain any questions from the board, we'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second. Questions from the board?
Mayor?
Yes.
Couple of questions that I have for our city manager. Under expenditures, and this is part of the budget as well, since we're amending some other items, one of the things that I brought up, and I still haven't gotten any response back, was the expenses that we are allotted for each commissioner. There was an expenditure that was approved for $6,250 for our mayor for travel and training. Only $3,100 of that was used. How come, I'm sorry, $3,140 was used. Why didn't we take back that $3,110 to our budget, out of the budget?
Primarily because that is the BOC's budget and not my normal operating budget. That was requested, approved at the initial budget, and I did not have the opportunity or take the opportunity to talk to the mayor and see if she, what her plans were on the additional expenditures.
I understand, but you said that that was approved on the budget, the original budget. All of this entire budget was approved the first time around, and yet we're asking for an amendment of the entire budget. There's a lot on here that I still question. I don't know if that could be all answered this evening. You said at the last meeting that you had made an error on some of when you hired some of the personnel under administration, and I'm sorry, under planning, that you gave them the wrong code, so now you have to adjust that, and now this individual gets a raise. Why don't we just wait until the 1 year is up, when everyone else gets their proper raise?
Nobody got a raise with this amended budget. They have been going along the entire year. We're just amending it because you requested. I initially was just going to eat it in the rest of the budget, but I made those changes based on yours and Commissioner Roberts' request. There have been no raises.
Mayor? Yes.
Back to the first point that Commissioner Buffalini made, Mr. Daugherty, about the Board of Commissioners portion of the budget. There are amended portions of that budget, though, and so while I'm not necessarily taking up Commissioner Buffalini's question about that line, I find that inconsistent, that we wouldn't go back and revisit giving back $3,000+ to the overall budget when we've been looking at various places throughout the rest of the operating budget to find money to balance. And yet, when I look at the detailed budget that you provided on page 12, I see where there were 9 different line items that were amended, but not that line item on the Board of Commissioners portion. So that does not line up with what you just explained to Mr. Buffalini.
I believe it does line up. Those are operational things that I can see on a monthly basis. What's going on? I do not have any idea what training any of you guys are going on. But I can look at the budget and see what we're spending on cell phones, BOC work sessions, sundry, office supplies, postage, uniforms, computer equipment and software, dues and subscriptions. Those are quite a bit different type line items than travel and training. I can kind of get an idea, get a much better feel from an operational standpoint on those line items.
Okay, but still, each commissioner is allotted $750 for operating, general fund operating, for travel and training. Mayor Anderson is awarded $6,250, which she only utilized $3,140 for her trip to Utah, leaving a balance of $3,110. 50% of that money still available. So why can't we adjust it in this budget and give that money back to the city? Is the mayor prepared to relinquish those funds, or do we have another trip planned? I'm just curious.
Mr. Daugherty, if I may, there's a leadership conference that happens once a year. Every mayor in every municipality in Williamson County goes to this. That is so that we can collaborate with other communities on how to bring back information on water and sewer, streets, our different things that we handle in our public with, congestion. And it's just a collaboration with other cities on how they manage stuff like that. This happens every single year. Every mayor in every city in Williamson County goes to this. Every single city. There was one city that didn't have a mayor go, but their city administrator went because they were in an election time, because they handled the election of the mayor different than we do. But every city is represented at this conference. And that was the conference that was paid for. I have approximately 3 to 5 meetings I go to weekly to represent our community and meet with TDOT, meet with TDEC, meet with all the different people who can bring information to us so that we can handle different situations for our citizens. So as the mayor, I go to these meetings representing, and that's what I do, is represent this community. So the money that is still in there, that's not anything I use personally. That is money if some of these conferences and training have fees associated with them. And sometimes I don't know or Tom or anyone in our staff, they don't know what the fee could be until I'm invited to a conference or training to learn more about what we can do for the community. If the money is not used, because it's not money that I use personally, it's just for training, conferences as such, it will go back into the budget.
Okay, so when do we find out what happened, and when do you give us information from your trip to Utah of what happened there and how it can help the city?
They are writing a report right now, and as soon as they get done with that report, I have given just an edited report in previous meetings of what went on in that conference. But as soon as they get the people who sponsored the conference, as soon as they get that written and give it to me, I will be happy to sit and read the entire, the entire report to our community.
Okay, who's writing that report?
Williamson, Inc.
Okay, because I have an email from Williamson Inc. saying that they are not writing such report, that is under each mayor to represent their own city and to educate the rest of the board and their city as to what happened, including the itinerary that I have as well, and that's directly from Williamson Inc.
Who gave you that? I need a person's name.
I can show you that separately. I don't want to announce their name over the air.
Okay, well, I reached out to them as well, and they said the report is not complete yet, but I will reach out to them again if you've gotten that information, because I got other information. So I'm more than happy to share everything. We started at 7 in the morning. It was a 4-day trip. We ended at 7 at night, and it was, we did not go skiing. We did not do anything that was, like personal activities. This was all meeting with other mayors in this community in Utah, 3 different communities in Utah, who the sponsors of the trip chose for us to meet with, to learn how they handled situations in their own communities.
Okay, so perhaps at the end of the month when we have our town hall and we're all sitting up here for 2 hours twiddling our thumbs sometimes, I think that would be a great opportunity for you to educate the rest of us as to what you experienced on their trip.
Absolutely. I will detail every single day, and I will tell exactly what we did from the time we got up in the morning until the time I went to bed. I'm more than happy to do that.
Thank
Because
you.
it definitely wasn't skiing. It was learning about how to help our community be a better place.
I don't know where you got the skiing thing from, but okay, well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mayor.
Yes.
Tom, I had a question. I had asked it last time. You weren't here, obviously. But I was just curious how it's not the biggest number in the world, but it's just kind of odd by the percentage of change. Under the Department of Administration Operations, the sundry account went from 2,000 to 5,000. So I was just curious if there was a significant item that came up that fell into that changed it by 150%, or if it was just unexpected spend that wasn't accounted for prior. I'm just curious what that increase is going towards.
It was an unexpected expense. It was expense from Williamson County trustee for our matching portion of the fiscal year 24 tax relief in the amount of $3,863.
Okay.
And what we'll do next year is create a line item for that. It just came out, was not anticipated. When we were collecting, we had it set up accounting differently, and it just.
Okay, so how was that handled prior to this year? Was it?
It was set up some way in the revenues side.
Okay. Yeah, I think something like that, if it's that sizable to where it's going to change a line item by 100+%, probably should have its own
Yes, so
line
we will
item.
definitely get a new line item.
Mr. Darty, is your microphone on? I'm hearing that some people.
I'm sorry, I was way away from the
Okay, there we
mic.
go. Thank you.
We will definitely put a line item in for this expense in this next budget.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Daugherty, just so that we've got a record of it, on the original ordinance that was first sent out with the BOC packet, the funds that reflected a total allocation increase were $106,880. And on the packet in front of us tonight, on the face of the ordinance, is a total allocation increase of $120,511. So that's a jump of about, $14,000. And can we explain the difference between those two, please?
It's the additions that you guys wanted me to put in the budget that I was gonna leave out, those salaries you were talking about, is the difference.
Thank you.
So the salary increases, you said?
They're the same, I just put them in the budget like you guys had requested.
And Mayor, may I have another question? When you weren't here last time, and I'm glad that you're feeling better, but a big part of the conversation was around the increase for the firing range line item. And Mr. Knox did what he could to answer the questions, but we thought that it was best to go ahead and defer this until you were here and we could have the conversation with you. So can we please revisit that and talk about how we got to the $750,000 figure that is in here and why those funds need to be added in this amended budget?
Yes, we received a email from Civil Environmental Consultants. Chief Humphreys and I had been trying to get a ballpark on what we were looking at, and we won't get a real good price until the construction goes out to bid. But they at the time said it could be anywhere from around 500,000 to 1.12 million. So but they also said probably could possibly spend up to 750,000 this fiscal year. So that was the reason for that extra 250 going in. If things got rolling and we needed it, we didn't want to have to come back to the board and say, hey, we can finish this if you appropriate the money. Now, I don't know if we'll get that far. We may not need it, but if we do, I would love for it to be able to go ahead and keep moving forward.
When was that email received from the consultants about that dollar amount?
It was in April 2024.
Well, if we had that in April of 2024, then why wasn't that included on the original budget that was voted for in June of 2024?
Well, at the time, I didn't believe them, and I thought 500,000 would be plenty.
What's changed your mind?
Things moving faster.
What's moving?
Just things, them doing things and getting done. We went for so long, nothing moving, and then all of a sudden things start moving, and it's like, well, we may be able to get this thing done.
But
So-
what specifically is moving? What are the things that are, because I have not seen anything moving, so I'm curious what that is. And if
let
there's
me-
documentation, then that would be helpful.
Yeah, let me get my stuff right here. Let me get my. So far, and I believe you asked for this, Commissioner McDonald, but let me find the email first. Of course, I don't. Having trouble locating the email, but it was in April, and I can pull that and I can get it to you, and I'll probably find it here in a minute. But fiscal year 25 police training facility expenses. We had soil testing. We spent $7,400. We had concept documents and topographical survey, which includes a lot of stuff, which I've made some copies of this if y'all want it. They've got a whole list of items that this includes, but that was $74,265.24. We've had schematics development, $18,671.40. We've had design development, $12,447.60. Construction documents, $9,335.70. Soil mapping for the septic system, $11,800, for a total of $1,033,919.94. So we're at a point now where we're ready to take stuff to the planning commission, and really all we're waiting on is whether or not a tower can be built on it. And even if it can or can't, that's the next step is going to the planning commission.
Do you need these funds to be approved in order to get the site development plan drawn up to take to the planning commission?
No.
So is it possibly true that this request could be made after we knew what the funds actually were, when we have a more concrete estimate on the cost after the site development plan is done, rather than passing it now on what feels like very tenuous rationale?
Sure. My rationale behind that was it's bond money. It's not tying up any taxpayer dollars other than, it took taxpayer dollars to get the loan, but yes, that would be fine.
Does the amount of interest change? If we do this now, we're not actually touching the bond itself. We're just
No,
kind of allocating, so nothing changes
It
so
stays in
far
the
as what we're
account until we
paying.
spend it, yeah.
Okay. And just one last question on this. So if we were to pass this and allocate it, it wouldn't bind us to any future plans. It would just be that we had this money sitting in the budget, and it would look like it's there, we could pay for this portion, but there's nothing binding about moving this dollar amount over.
Well, by moving it over, you're appropriated saying that if the opportunity arises, we can spend the money.
If everything passes and we approve of everything, so we would have
Yes.
to approve everything first. So this is just saying the money is just sitting there, it's appropriated,
Yes.
but there's still a long
doesn't-
road to go
oh,
before
yeah.
it would get spent and before everything is approved.
Definitely.
Thank you for answering my questions.
Mayor,
Yes.
I have a question. I don't know if this is for city manager or for chief. Who's going to be using the facility?
There'd be no public use. Primarily the police department. They may have joint training sessions with possibly outside law enforcement agencies. That is all Chief Humphries has told me. Chief, if you got anything to add, you're more than welcome to.
It's designed for our use, police use only, and like all municipalities, and you yourself been in the fire service, you have mutual aid trainings with agencies around you that would be called to a scene with you, so you can train consistently. So we would be available to our area neighbors on a limited basis. They wouldn't have just free reign of it, but they would, if they had something and they requested that, we would make that available, but no public use whatsoever.
Okay, question. Is there any revenue generated from this from other municipalities or other departments?
None. I think the fire chief could speak to that too. He has a training facility. It's one of those things that, the neighborly thing is you're gonna share that. We would do the same thing if we do that at Dixon's. If we went to Williamson County's training facility, they wouldn't charge us either. It's just, a courtesy across departments.
Sure. A quick question. So with the tower that's under a lot of scrutiny from everyone, what's going to be the difference? What makes the difference between a 35-foot tower and something larger?
Really on this-
And also, what are we using it for?
On this plan, it's literally the roof. Really, the roof exceeds that height variance. In the presentation I give that all you were present for, whether you were sitting or not, I did explain that it was a multi-level shooting tower to shoot from distances, from different angles that you do that. The backside of it would be a rappel tower. We, at this point, do not have a need for a rappel tower, but if you're building the tower, the backside of it, making that decision in is, I think it's a smart decision for the future, just an added tool. But yes, that was always the intention of which I stated in that presentation.
So the platform itself, where you stand, will be at the 35-foot
It'll be
marker.
close to that. I don't know
Right.
exactly. They, again, CEC is drafting all that, but it has a roof line on that. And I think that somewhere in that, from the floor of that to the top of the roof is where that begins to exceed that 35-foot.
Okay. Who oversees the whole planning process as far as planning, bidding it out, dealing with the general contractor? Is it yourself? Is it city manager? I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
CEC is assisting with that.
Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you for staying late and answering our questions
Sure.
again. Even with this facility in place, would you still have other facilities that your department would use for training in another jurisdiction, say like the county or like Dixon or any place else?
That, it literally depends. I couldn't answer that. There's no possible way because I don't control their facilities. So, I mean, what is today available to me might not be available to me tomorrow. I've said that in the past that I don't think the accessibility to Dixon's Range is going to be a long-standing, solution. I think that will soon go away. So it is difficult for a lot of reasons. One is scheduling. If I don't control it, I can't hardly schedule people to get on it. We missed the month of October completely with firearms training because we had no range available during that month, which poses risk and liability. It opens the city up to risk when we don't do that consistently, which I stated in that presentation also. When we have to travel, and you travel a lot of stuff logistically, that is tough. We would like to reach most of our officers, and when you do it at some other range that's 20, 30 miles away, you can't consistently get all your people there, which has been our issue also. We cannot consistently get people there. Whereas if it is local and somewhere local, and we can have a roll call training as those officers are coming on and going off shift, we can do that at roll call, which makes it more available to our officers. So distance, availability, all those things come into effect and has been problematic for a lot of years for us.
Thank you.
Chief, what's the anticipated daily use of the fire facility?
I don't think that there'll be a daily use at all. And I stated that to multiple people, that I don't have the ammunition budget to shoot daily. But for instance, this week, we hired the Noah Nicholson on Monday. I have no other range training plan for this week. No, so if we had a range, it would be no activity out there. We hired him, so we have to get him qualified with his new weapon. So we have to get him in the range and qualify. That probably took 2 hours to qualify him through that, a few little range drills, and that was the extent of the use of that range, which we had to get my staff over to Dixon to do that. Again, problematic when it could be done, locally. So I've answered this question time before too, that you don't know what your total training plan will be. You have some idea, and we set forth a shooting day once a month on the range. Then there might be specialized training that we come up with. But then also when you discover deficiency, that somewhere in your department, an officer and a training officer, a corporal, sergeant said, hey, I'm seeing some deficiency, then you're going to go out to train that. You're going to go out and shoot that to rectify that. Again, like my FTO program, we work to proficiency, and that may come about at any time. You never know what that is. So you can have a base plan, but it's going to be altered some.
Right. So daily operating hours. So these questions are just questions that I've been asked, and I have no answer for this. So I'd like to ask these questions so that they're answered. What would the daily operation hours be? Kind of, are they going to be shooting on weekends, on nights, holidays, mornings?
For most of our training will be somewhere between Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. Now, a couple of times a year, again, based on that presentation I give, you're going to shoot in different environments. You're going to want to shoot at night. We'll shoot when the sun goes down. It might be 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. But at 10 o'clock, that range is not going to exist anymore. We're going to shoot 1, 2, 3 in the morning. And that's going to be a couple of times a year. We usually try to get 2 night fires in a year so that we're shooting those other adverse conditions rather than just a static daytime, no weather type shooting situation.
Thank you. And a citizen earlier asked in the citizens' comments about the wildlife having a training facility right next to the park. Is
Correct.
that going to disturb any of the animals or the birds? Or
It's not, and I would ask anyone to go back to our YouTube site, go to that work session, reference that presentation, that multiple wildlife preservation areas across the state, to include state and federal lands, have firing ranges on them. And the people that are in the business of conservation, you would think that if it was that detrimental to wildlife, they would not put those there. But they do, and they put a lot of them out there. Of which ours will be controlled by the police department. Our protocol and training requirements. We'll have a range master on site when that's done, where these facilities that are out there in the federal and state lands are open to the public. You can just walk up and shoot in whatever manner you desire. So, again, you would think that the people that are experts in that, if it was a wildlife issue, they wouldn't put those in those areas.
Thank you, Chief.
Mayor,
Yes.
I have a couple of questions. Chief, you mentioned a while ago you might have some other agencies that might need to use it from time to time. Will you have one of your officers there to watch over while they're training yourself?
If we're training together, we'll be there. If it's some instance where we have something that they do not have, something in our range that's unique, that they request and come, especially the rappel tower, before we would enter into allowing them to use that, every department yearly will sign an MOU, a memorandum of understanding that states that they will conduct the business there that day by our rules and not theirs. If they can't conduct under our rules, we're also going to, in the plan with CEC, we're going to video camera that facility, both for security of the facility, because it is kind of an outlier area, but also in the training classroom and downrange, so we can monitor activities on the range, so that if anybody is not conducting themselves in a manner that's consistent with our policies, then we will remove them from range and will no longer have use of it.
Okay. One other question. For future years ahead, do you have any plans to look into possibly an indoor firing range?
Indoor firing ranges, of course, the opposition to this has thrown that out multiple times.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that are problematic with indoor firing range. One is the money. You're talking $4 million and up when you start talking about indoor firing ranges. And two, I was asked by a gentleman that would not prefer that, and a lot of chiefs would love to have a pristine indoor shooting facility, and that's nice. But it still doesn't accomplish the goal. As I stated in there, those Supreme Court decisions and federal decisions, the state that you must shoot in adverse conditions. You need to shoot when it's raining, you need to shoot when it's snowing, you need to shoot when it's cold, when it's hot, and you can't really accomplish that in an indoor range. You can accomplish some things, but comprehensively, there's no way you can accomplish all the goals that you need to in this profession in an indoor range.
Thank you, Chief.
Mayor?
Yes.
Since we're on the topic, and I know it's, relevant to the budget approval since there is a piece to that, I just wanted to, there's been a lot of, we kind of touched on one of the, I don't want to say incorrect information, just kind of rumors, right? When we're having this conversation in the style that we have, drawn out for the time period that we have, you can naturally, things are going to kind of grow bigger than life, right? And become a thing. So first one is the 750,000. I understand that you said it could go up to 1.12 or something like that. I think it would be amazing if we could figure out a way to work within that 750K and keep it as close to that number as possible, which I feel like we most likely can. I feel like you seem to find money in every corner you look into, so that's always a good thing. And the second thing is this conversation or talking point of back in 2006, the board denied the shooting range. So I have here the meeting minutes from November 4th, or I'm sorry, November 16th, 2006, minutes of the Board of Commissioners. New business item A, discussion and/or take action on the firing range for the police department. City manager forehand stated that she would like permission for the police department to use a portion of what is referred to as the out parcel, map 43, parcel 44, containing 24.7 acres located on the Dice-Lampley Road as the firing range. They lost their present firing range with the transfer of water/sewer properties to WADC. It was located on the sewer plant property. Arnie suggested and then made a motion to set aside the entire out parcel for the use of the public safety departments. Johnson seconded the motion. All were in favor. So there is, hopefully that puts that one to bed. There was no vote in 2006 that told you or the police chief at that time that the firing range could not be built. The minutes reflect, unless the minutes are inaccurate, that's a different argument, that it was unanimously approved. So I just wanted to put that on the record.
If I may,
Yes.
I need a firing range for all the reasons that I stated it. I know it's uncomfortable for some people. it's always an uncomfortable thing, no matter what jurisdiction, what municipality that it's in. But police have them because they need them. It's not some recreational thing you go out just for fun. It's because we need them. Because I have seen officers lose their lives. I have been through that. And our goal is to stay alive to protect the public. And that is a big, big endeavor. And I know what it takes to perfect those skills. I've taught for years, at my years at Dixon County, and it's a perishable skill. It's something you must do. So I can only leave you with this. I sat down with CEC and told them the things I needed in a range, in that range. The Dixon range, of which I model a lot of it, has been there for 30 years. If they take care of it, it's a 50-year range. It's a one-time 50-year investment for a department if you do it right and manage it well. I really don't care where you put the range. I could care less. I need that range, that what it looks like. Now, that'll make some people in opposition happy, put it anywhere. But I've said I tried to find the deepest hole I could put it in the edge of somewhere. I challenge you to pick it up and put it anywhere in Fairview, and you make 1,000 Fairview citizens mad. I mean, I'm telling you as a board, I need a range. I've done all I can do to a certain point. My problems need to be solved in some manner, and I'm resting on the board to make those decisions.
And I think I speak for everyone saying we appreciate the effort that you've put into this matter. To add on to that, I mean, I think it's a great night to have this conversation as you're coming off your report from the entire year's worth of data, right? And it shows no shortage of opportunities where you're interacting with the public where something could go wrong. Great year. Not a lot of bad things happened, right? And that's ideal. I don't think any police officers out there hoping for more bad things to happen so they could look better or look more valuable to the community, right? But in the event of one of those situations, God forbid it does happen, every single one of us in this room, everyone watching at home, everyone who's for or against the gun range, we all just get to step back and watch you all run towards the danger, run towards that situation and handle it. That's the reality of it. I, being someone who's sitting on this board making a decision that's going to affect the ability for you to allow your police officers to be as trained as they possibly can be for those moments, I can't find how I could sit and look in a mirror hearing a crazy story that happened in Fairview, that X amount of things took place, so many people had a bad outcome, and that was because, could we have stopped that if we would have been better trained? And we're not, because we were worried that, I don't know. I mean, I think when you analyze the location, you take your emotion out of it, you look at the location, like you said, it's in a hole, it's got trees. It's on the edge of town, whether you want to argue whether it's on the edge of town or not. City proper, it's the edge. I, for one, think it is a good location. I don't think we could find one. The best part about that location is we already own the land. We don't have to go out and purchase the property in order for it to work. And it's convenient that the location that we do own happens to be ideal for it. So again, I thank you. I apologize that you've been put through this whole drawn-out situation.
That's
but,
part of it.
You've handled it well, and I appreciate it.
It's one of those things that what goes down in those situations is things that a lot of people can't fathom. Just 2 days before your last meeting that you began to debate this a little bit was the New Orleans event where a guy runs through the crowd and they have to go kill that guy. That is unfortunate. We do not ever want to have to do that, but every place that has had to do that didn't think it was going to be them. Not Aurora, Colorado, Columbine, Virginia Tech, Uvalde, any of them. Sandy Hook, no one thought it was going to be them. And when I plead to you, I want to be as prepared as I possibly can be for that. That simply is that. And to do that, to take officers and put them in situations like that, that is not natural. It's not a natural occurrence. You have to train people to do that. Because when it goes bad, there's all kinds of disruptions goes through their brains, their physical, limitations, psychological, physiological things take place. You can never do away with it completely, but you can reduce those manifestations through training. You can equip people to go into battle. And that's really what it is when it comes down to it. I would love for us to never have that situation, to be peaceful, and we just conduct business as peace officers. But it's not that way. When Sergeant Daniel Baker was killed in Dixon County, it was because he got called to a broken-down vehicle. A broken-down vehicle is something my officers do every day. Somebody, a car in the road. When he got there, the guy had felony warrants. When he discovered that, the guy opened fire on him, shot him fatally in the chest, and then stood over him and executed him. Those are things that you constantly have to prepare for because they happen. They happen everywhere. My job is to try to prevent it from being here, and when it does happen, to minimize the damage as much as possible. And for that, my officers need to train. They need to train consistently and often. So, as I said in my presentation today, I plead you, find me something, because it's been a lot of years of a road show of going and begging and borrowing from other people to try to accomplish the goal that we can't accomplish ourselves. So Fairview is a different community, a city than it was years ago. And it's time that we solve our problems for us.
Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you so much for those comments. I don't think that anyone could say it better, to advocate for your position, and to every officer that's sitting in this room and that's listening and will watch this and hear this. Thank you so much. I want to make it abundantly clear that the conversation that we've had and the way that we've gone through this is not because there is hesitation to support you at all. I'm aware that this has been going on in this conversation for a very long time, and I'd love to be part of the board that has this come to realization, so that we can get you trained and you can stop spending time on conversations like this, and your police officers don't have to.
I would love to go back
you
to
love
just
it?
being police chief,
Yeah,
and not
right?
a developer.
And right, and not spend time traveling to a different facility and have it here in the city, and all
Right.
of those great things that we could provide so that the officers are prepared. I have lived in a place that was caught unaware when Hurricane Katrina victims migrated north and brought a lot of crime to unsuspecting rural towns.
Right.
And I've seen it happen, and I'd love for us to be prepared. Nashville is growing, and here we sit. You've made some really good points. A lot of people are listening and paying attention, and I just wanted to take this moment, especially as a new commissioner. We've received so many comments, and I just want to say that none of this is taken lightly. I think it's very clear this is a very challenging decision and a tough position to be in, coming in and inheriting this and trying to parse it out. And I want to thank you for your patience with us and explaining it, and Tom Daugherty for your patience and explaining it, and all the citizens who have come and are still here and advocating for your positions. And I just want to say that no matter how it goes, it's not a decision that's been taken very lightly. To Vice Mayor McDonald's point, we don't want to face the day that we weren't prepared and we could have been.
Right. I in no way ever want to be disrespectful to this board or anyone prior, but as you see with the LISO thing, I'm big about solving my own problems, and I work at solving my own problems, and rarely do I come to the board with asking for a solution. With this one, I've put everything I have into it, and I literally have to lay it before the board and say, I'm asking you to make some decisions that facilitate this in some way, and whatever that looks like for the city. But I've expressed and shown explicitly where there's a need, where that without it and without consistent training, that not only me, the city manager, but the board also, liability rests in your lap. It really does. And that's not insane. It's just part of that presentation I did was cities are responsible if they are not prepared. And I'm doing everything in my part to be prepared. And that goes so far. And I'm asking as a partnership with the board to help me finish this and find some location here that I can do that.
Mayor?
Yes.
So just to let the citizens know that, regardless of where this gets placed, I mean, whether it be ideal position or not, someone's always going to be upset because it's not going to be in the heart of the city. It's going to be on the edge of the city. It's going to be either closer to Prim Springs or closer to Bowie Park, or it's going to upset somebody somewhere. This is the ideal location for it based on the soil, based on the slope of it, to be the safest location for it. But I also want to let all the citizens understand that we're not voting on a shooting range or a training facility right now. What we're voting on is the budget in hand right now, and this just happens to be one of the line items on the budget that we're questioning right now. So this is, I just want to let everyone know that regardless of the decision that the board makes this evening on this budget, this has nothing to do with a yes or a no if this training facility is going to be built. All it's doing is giving us the funds to start our training facility planning process. That's what it's doing. So, and with that said, that's all I have to say.
Chief, would you
Mayor,
comment
I
to
would
that?
like to-
Do what?
Chief, would you comment to that?
Which part, ma'am?
That the training facility, we're just starting the planning and it's not already been approved.
The final plan has not been approved.
But
CEC is developing a plan. They have quite a bit of that plan completed. I've seen a lot of it. It's not complete. It's nowhere ready to go to construction phase because there's some elements to that. One is whether I can have the ordinance that allows me to build the tower or not. If it doesn't, then I just remove the tower and I still move forward with the range. But again, when I said to try to build a range, a 50-year range, a lot of the things that my team and people that worked with a lot of times saw some deficiencies in other ranges, things that you wished you had. And we try to do that turnkey at one time. Often like the fire chief said with his tower, kind of doing it right, getting it complete in this ideal location that lasts the city 50 years if maintained properly. So that's a pretty good investment in anything you're doing if you can get 50 years of life out of it. So we have that. We have another element of that is we've done the soil sample for the sewer. Well, we're waiting on Wabasca County to approve that. Well, when they do that, they'll finalize that plan. But we're sort of still till there's some decisions made. Is there a tower? Is not a tower? Is the county approved the septic system in it? When that's done, CC will finish that plan. We will gladly bring that plan to the Planning Commission, to you, who the citizens will post. I don't really, again, I don't hide things. I don't care who sees that. And then it'll be the approval process behind all that. If the Planning Commission approves it, you approve the funding, the bid will go out as a public bid. So all those things will be consistent with how government is always run. We have a plan that's almost complete. There's some elements there we're waiting on. As soon as we do that, CEC will gladly finish that plan up for us, and then we will start the process with all the boards that are involved in that.
Mayor, I'd like to make a comment, please.
Yes.
Chief, back before the firing range issue come up again, we had some shootings in Nashville, had other shootings in other states. And I always ask, I think 2 or 3 times, were you training toward something like that happening in Fairview? And it just so happens we have 3 schools within less than a mile of this particular site. And you always responded with, we're training the best we can with what we have. And I do appreciate that.
We are.
And, that is what's on a lot of people's minds, is the things that goes on in our schools. And it breaks my heart to know that something like that could happen in Fairview. So anyway, I thank you for how you replied to that before this firing range issue ever come up. But anyway, you're proceeding with the best you can with the training facilities that you have to proceed with.
There's no way that myself or my team would have been through all this and all these headaches and kind of roadblocks in this if we didn't think it was necessary.
I understand.
And again, in my presentation, I listed myself, and my assistant chief, and my training captain, a couple of my trainers that were sort of the driving force behind that, over 100 years' experience. We understand what it takes to train someone to proficiency. And there's no way we would travel down this road and kept banging our head against the wall if we didn't think it was worth it to save citizens' lives, both the community and my officers. That is absolutely what it is about. It's literally, that's what it is.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief Humphreys, as a part of the budget and with what you're trying to achieve with making this as safe as it can be and going the extra mile to even go beyond what you're expected to do to make it safe. In the location that it's at, there's counties surrounding that. Are the citizens who live there able to shoot on their property?
The last meeting you had, there was a gentleman that got up and spoke about hearing shooting all day and said they were shooting over there. I can tell you with 100% accuracy that was not Fairview Police Department shooting in that area. There are people that shoot in that area all the time, constantly, and it was not the Fairview Police Department. The problem with that is those people are shooting without a berm or all the things that we're trying to engineer for the benefit of safety. I'm not sure those things existed wherever whoever that was shooting. But we have employed a engineering firm to make sure it's the safest possible range that we can build. We're going to employ like policies and protocols that have been tried and true so we can make it as safe as range as possible. I'm going to put people that I trust to monitor and to conduct that business, and we're going to continue that forward in that manner. I used to be at Dixon County. I was the training captain and over all the training element. I was employed by the sheriff to please offer handgun safety permit classes. I got to be honest with you, that is the worst nightmare in the world because you have a wide array of people who show up to that. You have people that are very accomplished shooters, and you have people that I thought that I would get shot on the range there more than I ever would out on the street, that their skill set was very poor. They allowed that at the range. We're not going to allow that at the range. That was sheriffs do that. At the time, it was a great political move to engage the public and have them come out and give them a free class. I'm not an elected official. I don't need to give away free classes, to get reelected. I would prefer not having that on my range so I can conduct the range in a safe manner and make sure that I know the officers that are on the range can conduct themselves in that manner. So we're not open to the public. We're interested in opening the public so we can maintain a safe range.
Sounds like to me, our officers at the range probably need to watch out for the people shooting around them. So in the county who are able to do that aren't in a controlled environment.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Chief Humphreys, you've been great. I have no additional questions for you. I guess I can ask if anyone else does before I go back to budget talk. Does anybody else?
I only have one question for
Sure, go
Mr.
ahead.
Doherty, but not for the chief,
Okay.
so that's it, and then I think I'm good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, also more of a comment for just the general public that's been watching this process play out. I think something of note, or that should be noted, is as this discussion on the budget amendment takes place, and the time that it takes to come to a conclusion, there are other items on this budget that are not, I guess, not really open to debate. There's no cause or reason for debate on them. They are just items that naturally have to take place in order for the city to continue to operate properly. One of those being the zoning rewrite that we are doing. I just received the first draft of that this week. No one's probably going to understand me when I say this, but I was quite excited when I looked through it. I gave it to my wife and asked her some questions, who knows nothing about planning, just to see if she could find quickly how long it would take her to look through it. It's a different layout. It's supposed to be more user-friendly, and it proved to be so. So that's encouraging, but that's an item that needs some additional funding so we can keep that process moving forward and it doesn't delay it, as the company the TPUDC that has been handling that for us is running ahead of schedule, which is great. We also have the fire department who is looking to hire another fireman, and that individual has been hanging out in limbo for better part of a month now, if not a little longer. Luckily and graciously, that individual is still open to accepting the role once it's funded. And as well as the shooting range. I mean, there's things about that need funding as well, as far as getting a site plan developed, so we do have an accurate understanding of the scope of the project to the T, right? I mean, we have estimations, professionals that can make estimations along the way, but having a site plan tells us exactly what it's going to look like. So there's just a lot of those issues that do, I believe, make up a decent portion of the adjustments. This is not to deter other commissioners from having questions or concerns with the aspects of the budget that they have. I think those are valid. I guess I would just like to say that we're almost to February, which is crazy. I mean, we're moving right along. We will probably be starting next fiscal year budget conversation here within the next 60 to 75 days, probably. So just to keep that in mind, this is a very minor thing where we are here shortly going to go over everything in great detail with it, where everything is open to scrutiny. Again, not to deter anyone from voting or asking questions, all that, I just wanted to share.
Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you for those comments, Vice Mayor McDonald. I won't be deterred, but I do appreciate you clarifying that. And just I think a quick question for you, Mr. Daugherty. Is there a reason that the full budget isn't published online so folks can see it with all of the line items? I don't think it is. But that was a question that was asked in the citizens' comments, and it had come up to me before, and I'd forgotten to ask you. So is this available online or upon request?
I'm thinking it's online. Maybe if we can clarify, but I know we always put the audit and the budgets on. I'm not sure if we do the amended budgets, but I mean, it would be no problem.
Thank you. I think that would be appreciated. And if there's no issue with it, then I'd like to see that so that folks have all that, so they know what we're talking about. 'Cause
Sure.
I think they're kind of flying blind. Thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Jones?
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Vice Mayor McDonald.
Aye.
Item 10A passes 5-0. Item 10B, second and final reading, ordinance 2024-19, an ordinance of the City of Fairview, Tennessee, approving an amendment to the zoning ordinance, Section 6-102.10, general exceptions to height regulations, Section 8-103.3, in parentheses 1, general exceptions to height regulations, and Section 9-103.3, in parentheses 1, general exceptions to height regulations to provide clarity to permitted exceptions to height regulations and to provide a height exception for all land uses within the community facilities land use category as listed in Section 3-103.2. City planner, will that be you, Mr. Daugherty?
Yes, the city planner emailed me this comment. He said, "This exception will allow municipally owned buildings and structures to exceed the height regulations. This is an ordinance amendment to the City of Fairview zoning ordinance."
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. Comments from the board or questions?
I've got a question, Mayor. Yes. Mr. Daugherty, if somebody wanted to just say like, I'm trying to just get a question out without repeating what we did last meeting, so bear with me for a moment here. If somebody wanted to do a site development plan, would they have to do everything the plan have to conform with our current zoning ordinances in order to do the plan?
I believe so, unless there were some exceptions or variances granted, but I mean, all that would have to go through a process.
So a site development plan would still have to go through an approval process. So somebody could put forward something that didn't necessarily comply and then ask for a variance. Is that right?
Sure.
Okay. I just want to reiterate what I said in the last meeting then, just about my desire not to continuously bring up new zoning or new ordinances when we've got something that's in the works. I just wanted to restate that.
Here.
Yes.
I brought it up earlier, the first draft of the new zoning regulations that I received, I think I said yesterday, I believe it was Tuesday, technically, that I got that. In it, I looked up, I was trying to find if it spoke to municipal buildings and the height limitations to it, so what the new ones would say. Probably won't, again, make sense to most people, but the way our zoning regulations are currently written is residential, commercial are completely separated, and there's different zones within residential and, well, the commercial is pretty much commercial general, but it's broken apart where the new zoning regulations are more about character, more about allowing for commercial and residential to coexist if appropriate, as long as there's very specific guidelines that they fit into. So the height restrictions is not necessarily as clear as I would have liked it to have been, to just kind of put it out there into the world so everyone could hear. It has a lot to do with like buildings on that site. It does, most of the zoning and anything for civic does allow for two-story buildings, so naturally with a two-story building you're getting into that ballpark. And it's not limited to overall height, it's limited off of a 14-foot ceiling height on the first floor, followed by no more than X amount of feet on the second floor, and so forth. So depending on the footprint of the building and the pitch of the roof, the height of that varies, right? So it's not limited to X amount of feet. It's more of, there's more to it than that. So like I said, it's not ideal for this conversation to just make it crystal clear. But I do believe, and I talked with Ethan about it this afternoon, because I was asking him to interpret it and see what he said. And in the civic portion, we both felt like this would be, you wouldn't have to change anything to allow this to happen. But again, it's first draft, it's not final, probably going to change, so it doesn't really hold water. But for what it's worth, I wanted to put that out there.
Mayor?
Yes.
Also for the citizens, Chief clarified and made it very abundantly clear that, the height of this facility, he's just talking about the roof height is going to be over the 35-foot marker, but the platform itself will be around that same marker of the 35-foot. So I don't think that that's going to make that much of a difference. It's not going above trees, so it's not like they're going to be above the world looking down on Fairview or anything like that. That's all I had. It was more of a statement, not so much a question. I know, thanks.
Any other questions from the board? Ms. Jones?
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Nay.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Nay.
Item passes 3-2. Item 11, new business. A, ordinance 2025-01, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the City of Fairview, Tennessee by rezoning a 75.86 plus or minus acre parcel located at the south end of the existing Kingwood Boulevard, consisting of Williamson County Tax Map 042, Parcel 123.00, from R20 POD, either way, 1 and 2 family residential to RS15 POD, single family residential, property owner Land South LLC. At this time, at the Planning Commission, this was deferred. We will also, I make a motion to defer this item indefinitely.
Second.
Ms. Jones?
Mayor Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye.
Motion to defer passes 5-0. Item 11B, ordinance 2025-02, an ordinance to amend Title 12 of the City of Fairview Municipal Code, specifically sections related to the city's fee structure for permit and fees related to construction, remodeling, building permits, and industrial, commercial, and residential developments.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. I have a few quotes here that, but I do believe, had a pretty extensive conversation about this with Ethan, and tonight is the first reading of this ordinance. Municipal Code Amendment requires 2 readings. The fee schedule was last updated in 2019. We utilized surrounding municipalities when evaluating our fees and the proposed changes. We believe that our proposed fee schedule is in alignment with the surrounding municipalities and cities of similarity across the state. And again, if there are any other questions, this does take 2 reads. Thank you.
Any questions from the board? Ms. Jones?
Vice Mayor McDonald,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts,
Aye.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Buffalini,
Aye.
Mayor Anderson,
Aye. Item 11B passes 5-0. Item 11C, for discussion only, criteria for determining city staff salary increase. Commissioner Roberts?
Thank you, Mayor. In my very young infancy as a commissioner, and in the work that I just have done, learning about how the city is run, I have asked questions about how staff are going to be evaluated and how we determine what an increase would be, whether it's a merit increase or if we were to make some other sort of staffing decision. To me, this is very important. It's important so that we are good stewards of taxpayer dollars, so that there's transparency about any increases that we would see beyond a cost of living increase. It's also a protection for staff. If you think about a staff person who might be let go, then I think it's important that we have an evaluation process. And I don't know that we do or don't. I have not heard of one. I would like to just open this up for discussion and hear from the city manager about what the process looks like, and then how the board engages in that process, if at all.
Yes, I've been here since 2013, and we did evaluations when I first got here. It was, to be quite honest, it was very ineffective. And we've got government works a little bit different. I'm of the same mold as probably you guys are. I want if I work harder, I want to be compensated. If I push and push, I want to know I'm getting ahead. I want to be evaluated. I want to be graded and scored. But when you're in kind of at our government over the years, and after talking, especially with public safety, it's very hard to come up with an equitable, fair evaluation system, especially in the public safety departments. And we have had several department head meetings on this topic, and we have never come up with a viable solution. So what we do here at Fairview is we expect the people that are hired, we expect them to work. We expect them to provide outstanding service to the citizens. We expect them to do things, to follow all of the regulations, to follow all the policies. And if they are doing a good job, which this is department head driven, at all pay increases are at the beginning of the year. Most of them, I'd say 98%. And if they have done their job, the department head feels like they have done their job, they get, in our pay plan, we've got a pay plan with grades and steps. If they, the steps and grades are 3% each. So if they get, do their job, they get one step. That's 3%. The board, we asked the board if I look at the numbers, I have asked for 1% COLA. I've asked for 2% COLA. Usually it's somewhere in that range. So usually the most anybody would get an increase in is a 5% unless there was a promotion. And that's the other 2% that, when somebody might get a raise away from the new budget cycle is if somebody got promoted or somebody left and somebody in this position got moved into that position. But it's not very common. I would entertain a work session. I have had, I would say at least 3 meetings with department heads on this exact topic, and I think there's a lot of different, I think it's hard to really explain unless you hear everybody's vantage point and what's best for everybody. It's not a real cookie cutter thing like it is in some industries. So I didn't mean to get up here and ramble, but I have not found a real equitable. I don't want to do the good, those little filling circles, which we've done those when I've gotten here. We've had a goal oriented evaluation system. We've had this, that, and others, but it's taking. If we could find a way where there was just a equal, fair way to, every sergeant's different, every captain's different. Everybody, some are gonna evaluate hard, some are gonna evaluate easy. Oh, he's my friend, she's my friend. We just don't want to get into the personalities part of it.
Well, I've done some research and I've got some ideas, and then I'll just mute myself and let the rest of the board take it from here. But I feel pretty passionately about this, and as the city manager, it is your responsibility to align job descriptions with key performance expectations for each role, and then outline their responsibilities and make sure that they have met those. And I understand what you're saying about the special situation within a police department or a fire department, and really the chiefs of those areas do deserve to be able to design the evaluation, and it would look different than it would look for somebody who is perhaps just in the central administration for the city government. But I think that it's a very important thing for staff morale, for people to understand what success looks like and whether they are succeeding or not, to develop people. We wouldn't expect them to stay here forever, but we'd want them to develop goals and then meet those goals, and to empower our staff, which would only make our city better as they develop skills and they're able to think creatively and be empowered with knowledge when we set goals and meet them. I'm going to continue to advocate for this, and I'm happy to have a work session like you suggested where we can discuss these ideas. But I'd like to have something in place that does reflect best practices in different industries. But there's a lot of resources that you can find for how this works for evaluation of city government and city managers.
Mayor?
Yes.
100% agree. 100% agree. I think this is,
I think there's a lot of different ways to look at something like this, and you brought up a couple good points. You might not have been trying to make those points, but you brought them up. You mentioned that in 2013 was the last time you went through that, and you found it to be pretty ineffective. I've been up here 4 or 5 years now on different boards, listening to a lot of things, and one thing I can find about 2013 is almost everything was ineffective. So with you being a different individual, with you having different staff around you, the culture in Fairview within city staff, both everywhere, really across the board, is different. I think we all could agree than what it was in 2013. I think it's worth a discussion. I think just writing it off because it was ineffective in the past is don't take this offensively, but it's lazy, for lack of a better term. There's opportunities to find a way to make it work. I think the second point that you made that I wrote down was, you don't want to get into a situation where he's my friend, she's my friend, I don't like that guy, and the next thing you know, you got raises and evaluations are all over the board. That's a well-known thing within all aspects of life, corporate, government, public, private, whatever it might be. So what you do is you create a system that's based on metrics and not an individual's relationship, right? And so it is clearly defined goals. I think an individual, a business, a city, a country, if you don't have goals, you're not going to be successful in any way, shape, or form. You are just reactionary. What are we doing tomorrow? I don't know. We'll wait and see what happens, and it'll figure out what I'm going to do. I think every position needs to have clearly defined goals on expectations of what does success look like for you, right? And so those individuals, and this isn't to, I hope you miss it so we can easily fire you. It is I want you to know with beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are crushing it, right? It's not just my opinion that is saying, hey, you're doing a great job. It's not a colleague's opinion. It is, you can look at the data, you can look at the metrics, the goals that I was given, and I've blown them all out of the water, which is also my next point for when you have a process like this in place, and I totally understand the argument for police and fire. It's a little different, right? Like it's a little bit different of an animal, but office work, you can get lost in the sauce, right? Like an individual who just really good at their job, doesn't really talk to many people, and I'm not saying we may or may not have those types of people in this building. But they just come to work, they do what they're there to do, and they go home, right? And that's great. Those are awesome employees. But oftentimes, those employees get overlooked because they're not the type of person who's going to go and speak to their boss about, hey, I'm doing a really good job, and I think I'm deserving of a raise, right? Because one, they might be timid, they might just be shy, or they're somebody who just they're not boastful. They don't want to talk about themselves. They feel uncomfortable doing it. I think when you create that annual opportunity to sit down across from someone in a private setting and say, we're here to talk about you, that's what we're here to talk about, it empowers them to talk about what they've been, something to get off their chest if they have something, right? Like, I don't know if you noticed, boss, but I did this, this, and this, and they sell themselves and make a strong case for why they're an excellent employee. I don't personally want to have this conversation with any expectations of running someone off. I don't think that's it at all. I think you create a culture of positivity and you empower your employees by giving them a voice to say, hey, look, we are going to talk about me, and I want you to see exactly how well I'm doing. That's my opinion on it. I think there's plenty of processes that can be considered. To just rule it out, it's probably, we shouldn't do that. I think there's different ways working with department heads, and it might be different, right? There could be a different set of metrics, different goals, different whatever with this department versus this department. Departments of 30 people versus departments of 3, right? Like there's different, it's just everything's different about that. I mean, we don't have to go through it all, it's obvious. So I think a workshop's a great idea. I think getting the department heads together, everybody doing a little bit of homework on the different options and variations of that process that could be considered beforehand, and then coming in here and just kicking the can around, talking about it. Like, would this work for your department? Maybe not, maybe so. I think it's a healthy I think it's a healthy process for any entity, whether it be government or private, to have in place. And I think we should absolutely have that conversation. That's all I have to say.
Mayor?
Give me 1 second, Mr. Daugherty. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Are there any plans to hire a human resource individual?
Down the road, not this next fiscal year.
Thank you.
I just wanted to tell you, I am open to all that. Have really actually, I have entered this circle 2 or 3 times, and I'm open. I want it's something that works, something that's fair, equitable, and it does not cause friction. It's something I'm looking for.
I can assure you that that will be top priority for me when considering any options for this, is not to throw a wrench into the system and create drama or animosity between employees. I think there's a solution out there. I don't know what it is, but I think we can find it.
And this is the last thing I'm going to say. Everybody that I know that's employed here is a public servant. We're here to serve. We're here to serve the citizens. We're here to serve the best of our ability. Sometimes those people are wired just a little bit different, but I think this could be a really good thing. I've seen it when it wasn't, and I'm open, and I think a work session would be very open to that.
I have a question for Patrick. Just because, this is all great conversation and everything, and, I'm open for whatever, but according to our charter, should we be involving ourselves in the city manager and what he does with his employees?
So the BOC has 2 employees. They have Tom and myself, and all the other employees report to Tom. And so I think conceptually, I think it is the business of the BOC to talk about these types of issues, as far as, what how a raise is given, or what's the step system, and how does that work, and because it becomes a budgetary issue. So I think it is your business to discuss, although the implementation of that and when it comes down to implementing, I think that's Tom's business or the city manager's business. So yes, I think it's appropriate to discuss. I had my light on because I believe MTAS, and it's been a while, but I believe they may have a HR consultant that works with cities, and so I would encourage Tom to reach out to MTAS. I'm not sure who that person is right now because it's been a while since I've had to speak to them, but that is usually a really good resource. And Tom's used them before. I don't think he's used them in an HR perspective, but especially for cities that don't have their own HR department, I believe they have a consultant that probably can help and has an idea about how this might work in other cities that are Fairview's size. So that might be a good place to start. That's the only thing I was going to add.
And like I said, I'm fine with whatever we do. I just wanted to make sure that we were doing it appropriately according to our charter, because there are rules and regulations we have to follow.
I think if this board, said you need to give so-and-so a raise, I think that would be a major overstep. But I think as far as system or the underlying system, I think it's an appropriate discussion.
Any other comments, questions?
Since I raised it for discussion, Mayor, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for having the discussion with me and for engaging. And Mr. Daugherty, as usual, when I come to you with something, you always say, I'm game, let's try it. So thank you for engaging with me and to just somewhat respond to the mayor. I think when it comes to Tom's role as like his line on his job to manage the staff, I think that the expertise that's collected at this Board of Commissioners can help with that and help with the processes. Because ultimately what we want is what's best for you and the staff and everyone else. So I really do appreciate everyone indulging me with this and walking down this road. I think it'll yield a lot of benefits. And so I appreciate it so much.
All right, so item number 12, roundtable, mayor and commissioners. Commissioner Hall?
Thank you, Mayor, Board. Just thank all the citizens that came tonight. Really enjoyed the wrestling team and the football team. I think it was a fantastic deal tonight. I want to thank all the employees for everything they do for our city and our citizens. Chief, I want to thank you for your explanations tonight. I hope they help ease some of the tension, possibly. But anyway, that's all I have tonight. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.
Commissioner Roberts?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I feel like I've spoken a lot tonight, so I'm going to really try to narrow down my comments. But to Leo Strawn and the wrestling football teams, thank you for being really great examples for your peers. Best wishes on meeting all of your goals. I've loved watching a lot of these kids grow up, and I know their parents, and they're all very determined and dedicated. So I'm looking forward to the next several seasons. I don't know how the basketball game went tonight at the middle school. They were in the Tri-County Conference Finals. I'm hoping well, but I've been here, so I don't know. Welcome, Officer Nicholson, and Medic 19, I think, our second ambulance. That's very exciting, and I just want to say thank you again for everyone who has stayed late, everyone who has provided comments, everyone who has been reaching out, the city staff, the police officers who have been here. I know these meetings have been going long, and I just appreciate it so much, but we've got a lot of good work to do, and I'm really grateful for all of y'all sticking with us.
Commissioner Buffalini?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to say congratulations to the wrestling team, the football team, and also that the wrestling team during our town hall meeting is going to be recognized by state officials. So that's going to be a fun night as well. We're going to get that included. Welcome Noah Nicholson, another fine add to our police department, our fire department. With the budget being passed, I'm sure they're going to make some additions as well. And good luck to Leo Strawn, Boy Scout, going for Eagle Scout. Not an easy thing to do, to become an Eagle Scout. I was a Boy Scout and never made Eagle, and had no intentions to do it because it's very time consuming. I want to say thank you to our police and fire. I mean, without you guys, the city, we'd be hurting, and there's not enough thanks that can go out to each department. Especially now with the addition of the ambulance, it's a great addition to have 2 ambulances here. And also, I really want to give a shout out to Public Works. I mean, what they've done through our snowstorm was just unbelievable. So I really want to say thank you very much to each and every one of them. And also to Mr. Richard Ross. I want to thank him. And I think we should raise some money for him to buy him a hat next time when he's out in a snowstorm. Everyone was commenting that he wasn't wearing a hat with his head. So, but no, thank you very much, Mr. Ross, for keeping everyone informed. And all those, I want everyone to know and understand that every time you get a text for alerts or anything like that, it's not an automated thing. It's Mr. Ross that's actually sending those texts. So, kudos to him, and thank you very much for those sleepless nights and being here at odd hours and just doing what you do. So we really do appreciate it. 2 weeks ago, we had a coffee meeting here, our economic development officer held, and it was great. And I encourage even citizens, just to come and see what it's all about. I think it's great, and it's growing. The number's growing of the participants that do it, and we're just representing all the businesses here in Fairview. So whether you know about it or not, it's good to know about it. It's good to hear about what our town, what our city can offer to the citizens here. It's not just a business networking thing. It should be open to everybody, and there's really good coffee here. And we get donuts too, so I like that part. That's a good part. I'm guilty of that. But thank you to the Board of Commissioners for being so patient with my questions that I've been having, and to the city manager, thank you very much. And to Mr. Carter, we've been having some emails back and forth, and I appreciate your answers on a lot of things, and it did clarify a lot. And thank you very much. Do appreciate that. And I was told to keep my things short, so I'm going to stop right there. Thank you.
Vice Mayor McDonald.
I'll keep the witty comments to a minimum after tonight. Pretty much what Don said. I think he took literally everything off my page. I know you don't want me to say it, but I'm going to say it. Mr. Ross, what you do for this city could not be overstated. It's pretty incredible. And then to hear tonight, I don't know if anybody really pays attention to this stuff. We're in January, and he's talking about locking up sponsorships for the July 3rd event. Like, that's, you know what I mean? It's really impressive. For you to be focused on the biggest event this city holds in January, to be knocking that stuff out now in the middle of a snowstorm, still working for it, it says a lot about you, and I just wanted to say thank you. Public Works guys, I got more calls just to say great job than I've ever received in the time that I've been involved with the city. Text messages as well, just saying, can't believe my road's already cleared. Just great job. Another shout out to them. I wrote down the timeline and I forgot it on my desk at home, but it's basically 20 minutes. I had a call with Ethan Greer, the city planner, one morning. I got a phone call from a business owner here in town, or a text message, I'm sorry, saying that they had a hit deer, a dead deer on their property next to their business sign. So they were just giving me a heads up, seeing if there's something I could do about it. I happened to be on the phone call with Ethan, so I said something to Ethan. Him and I had a conversation for about 30 minutes. He said as soon as he's like, when we were getting off the phone, he's like, I'll say something to the guys over there. Thinking it will be in passing, right? Like it'll eventually get out. 20 minutes later, from the moment I hung that phone up, I received a text message from that business owner saying the deer's gone. 20 minutes. From the time I got off the phone with Ethan, who's in his office at the planning department, Todd and his fellas got in a truck, drove across town, and picked that deer up in less than 20 minutes on the nose. Incredible. Shout out to them. I think those guys are unsung heroes. They don't get enough. I'm hoping with the conversations that we have around department head summaries for just reports that Todd can get more involved so people can start to see who this guy is, because I know there's a lot of people in town that know him, but there's a lot of people who also don't, and they should, because like you said, he's an incredible guy. He knows more. He should write a book on the history. I rode around with him one day and I learned more about Fairview than I think I've learned in all the time I've lived here. But great work to those guys. Police chief, fire chief, thank you for your summaries. I think it's an incredible testament to the departments that you guys run with the information that you provided from a year perspective, where you see how much additional training had been done, how much the limited overtime hours with as many shifts that are working is, nothing short of incredible. I just all around really, really proud of Fairview tonight, looking at everything. And Tom, you're included in that. Thank you for dealing with our questions, our inquisitions, and I don't say that saying that all of our questions were answered, that everybody's 100% satisfied. But I think it was good discussion. I think it was discussion that leads to a better Fairview. I think it's a discussion that leads to a better budget for next year, and just a better future. So I applaud you for entertaining the conversation and doing your best with that. And I look forward to look forward to the future. So thank you, everybody.
So I'll start with, I had a whole list of the officers who were here, and I started marking them off as they left. Detective Reed has been here since the workshop. So thank you, Detective Reed, and thank you, Chief. Your presence, all of your officers who were here tonight, your presence makes me, and I don't speak for the rest, but I'm sure I am speaking for the rest, but I will speak for myself, safe, and it deters disruption, and it makes this meeting go very smoothly. So I appreciate making everyone in this room feel safe, and I appreciate you being here since our workshop today. So, and I appreciate all the others who were here throughout the night. Thank you so much, because it makes me feel safe, and I know it makes our board feel safe. During the snow, Todd and I spoke, Todd Bratchard, our public safety department head. Yeah, I was going to say superintendent, department head. We spoke several times a day, and I kept getting some messages from one of our citizens about some trees on Horn Tavern that were marked with X's that needed to come down. And I knew, and I thought I put out that, our tree surgeon had been hired, but I do want to let people know there's a lot of things that we, or, Tom and our staff, they hire people to do the work, but then we depend on those people to do the work and get the materials and just get through other jobs that they're working on to get the work done. So just because we're not seeing something, something's marked and then it's not done immediately, it doesn't mean that our staff is not contacting them and saying, hey, when is this going to happen, and staying on top of it. It's more that we have to depend on others' schedules when things, when we've already hired people. So I was excited that on top of Todd's 16 hours that we had talked the last time he had been working for 16 hours, he also was able to make sure the guy that we hired got the trees taken down on Horn Tavern. So that's been handled, just putting it out there. Todd and his crew worked 14, 16 hours a day to make sure our roads were clear, enough that I had comments from people calling me saying, why did they clear our roads? We wanted to sled. I'm thinking, okay. So anyway, some people want the roads cleared and some people want to sled, and maybe we can find some grass to sled on because Fairview has hills. But they did a great job, and Todd, I appreciate you. Richard, for all your videos and making our community aware of everything that's going on during the snowstorm. It was one of those, I feel, that came fast. It was fun snow that you could make snowmen, and then it went away. So those are kind of the fun snows. Welcome to the PD, Noah Nicholson, Medic 19, to the Fairview Fire Department. And, like Commissioner Roberts said, the wrestling, football, and, our young man, Leo Strawn, who is going for his Eagle Scout. And when people say that that's not easy, my brother was an Eagle Scout. I watched him every step of the way, what he had to do to accomplish that. And it's a feat, let me tell you. And he is, what he's planning to do for to get his Eagle Scout for his final project is, if you've been to the Fairview High School where the baseball field is, there's like a hill that has the FHS sign. So he's going to redo that whole sign, which is going to be really nice. I know that he does need some rubber mulch. If anybody out there has rubber mulch, we have his contact information, and it's very expensive. And so, you know, we'll just ask the community for, not as a city, but if the community wants to help him, they can get his contact information. And then, let's see. We will have a town hall January 30th. This is a month with 5 Thursdays, and so the 5th Thursday, we will have a town hall. Everybody show up for this. It's going to be a great time of discussion. I know that some people come to the podium thinking that we can do a question answer. That's not what the BOC or the Planning Commission is set up to do. We have to follow our ordinance and the way it's set up, and it's not a dialogue. So town halls are a way for you to come and ask your questions and get those answered. I agree with Commissioner Buffalini about the Around Town Coffees. I would tell you where the next one is, but then somebody would probably say that I'm promoting my business, so I won't do that. Just get that from Patty on Facebook. And let's see. Everyone who was involved in planning, preparing, speaking during our training session for the commissioners tonight, thank you. I have probably been through 5 of them, but every time I learn something new. So I appreciate it because it helps me refresh, and I think that's always a good plan. Our next scheduled Board of Commissioner meeting is on February 6th at 7 p.m. with a work session at 6 p.m. And as I always say, let's please keep Fairview beautiful and pick up trash and not throw it out. Thank you for everyone being here tonight. Thank you for those of you watching on TV if you're still watching, or maybe you can catch it on YouTube tomorrow. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.